Welcome, Cancer, to the month of June 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and or rising signs in the fourth zodiacal sign of Cancer the Crab. Now, the month starts out with your ruling luminary, as it were, in your seventh house of relationships. And on June 2nd, the moon conjuncts Pluto and creates an emotionally intense moment in time between all, maybe even business partners, others, as well as your significant partnerships or partnership. And then on June 4th, Jupiter squares the moon once the moon goes into Aquarius, into your 8th house, squaring Jupiter in your 5th house. So from the 8th to the 5th houses, Jupiter in Scorpio, in your 5th house of romance and creativity, squares the moon, which then gives you a bit of a maybe challenge to existing structures of the maybe some kind of financial institution, as this is the 8th house is the house of other people's resources versus how you conduct yourself with this bit of a challenging square to Jupiter. Then on June 6th, the moon goes into its last quarter into your 9th house of religion and philosophy, higher learning and law, at 15 degrees Pisces, 60 minutes. And then proceeds to trine Venus, as Venus is in Cancer in your 1st house of the self and body, creating a harmonious, I call it like not an angle per se, but an arc, like an energy flow to and through and from your 1st house to your 9th house. So with this last quarter moon in your 9th house, you may very well love how you feel about yourself and your body on that last minute long distance trip. Then, and that could be overseas, as you love water, as your water sign. Then on June 9th, the moon then proceeds to square Venus. So instead of trining it, it now squares it, because the moon in Aries, a fire sign, also cardinal, and you're cardinal too, creates a 90-degree angle from your 10th house of career and the ego and public standing to your 1st house of the self and body, and giving you the ability to love yourself enough to take emotional strides in your career. So that's why I love the squares. They are incentive, or the impetus or the incentive to get things done. Then on June 12th, Mercury leaves Gemini and enters your sign of Cancer in the first house of the self and body. And so now you will be able to communicate much more emotionally and less with intellectual sensitivity, as when the moon or Mercury is in the 12th house. There's a tendency to want to go within, too much so. So now you can express yourself that much more emotionally and allow yourself to be vulnerable without getting hurt. Then on July 12th as well, the moon, once it goes into your 11th house of friendships, sextiles Venus. There's a lot of Venus aspects in the month of June. Perhaps could that be because it's a marriage month? Very possibly. And so with this moon sextiling Venus, another very beautifully positive aspect. Not that the square's not positive, but it's something to learn from and a lesson. But moon sextiling Venus from your 11th house to your first house gives you that positive, emotionally sensitive love of being with your friends, or whatever maybe goals or wishes that you have wanted to treat yourself to. Then on the following day, on June 13th, Venus leaves your sign and enters your third house of communications into Leo. Venus leaves your first house in your sign into your second house. I don't know why I saw this and thought it was the third house. Going into your second house of money and what you value, Cancers. And that is one of the second of 4 ingresses for this month of June. Then the moon conjuncts the sun and becomes a new moon, henceforth the reason it's known as a new moon, when there's a conjunction. And that happens at the 7 o'clock hour and 21 minutes. And, with this new moon in the naturally residing Piscean house, again, you'll be able to go within and create something new, tap into a newer realm of your subconscious mind and the dream state. And then on June 15th, the moon then makes probably the only opposition for... I keep knocking Uranus around. Could it be because the planet Uranus is sudden changes? Okay, so the moon makes its only opposition to the planet Pluto at 7 o'clock 22 minutes, and from your first house to your seventh house, you might be better able to tune in mentally and emotionally in a very transformative way and manifest whatever it is that you might have needed through this awareness point of the opposition to understanding not only yourself, but your significant other or partner or business associate. So that's helpful there. Oh, and you are here, in case you haven't noticed, on the planet Earth. Then on June 18th, the sun sextiles the moon. Once the moon enters your second house of money and what you value, sextiling from the second to the 12th houses. And that happens at 8 o'clock, 42 minutes into the hour of June 18th. And what this can do for you is you can emotionally connect with who you are and how you value money with this positive sextile to the sun in Gemini, which is the ability to shed light on your dreams as well as your subconscious mind. And we're talking about dreams in the sleep state, as that's how I refer to it, as dreams, as well as dreams that you might hold dear, including the goals and wishes. Then on June 20th, the first quarter moon occurs in your third house of communications in Virgo, and that happens at 29 degrees 4 minutes. And what this can do for you is the energies that you had during the new moon of going within, now you can go without and take it out and do things with, like, in other words, start new projects or writings, perhaps, if this is what you do, possibly for a living, and then through any kinds of, all forms of communications and short distance travels. And then along with that, there is a square from the first quarter moon to the sun at 12 o'clock 30 minutes, 12:30, on, as well as, along with the first quarter. This happens on June 20th. So we're building up, or coming to, this is the build up here. This energy of the square builds up to now the longest day of the year. So now, once the sun leaves Gemini and enters Cancer on June 21st, then you now have an extra claw up. In other words, it's your month, Cancerians, so you'll have that much more energy and ability to flow. Then on June 22nd, once the moon goes into your naturally residing house, Cancers, you rule the 4th house of the home. Once the moon enters your 4th house of the home in Libra, the other cardinal sign, only this time cardinal air, leadership. That's what cardinal stands for. Then the moon squares Pluto. So from the 4th to the 7th houses, you now have the drive to manifest something intrinsically transformative within the home emotionally and take that energy out into the world with others. And that's on June 22nd. Then on June 24th, the moon trines Mercury. Once the moon goes into your 5th house of romance and creativity in Scorpio, moon in Scorpio trines your 1st house here with Mercury in Cancer. So your ruling planet, the moon, harmoniously trines with how you communicate. At 4:30 on June 24th, communication with not only yourself, but your potential romantic partner. Then on June 26th, the moon goes into your 6th house of work and health and service given, into Sagittarius, and squares Neptune in your 9th house. So from the 6th to the 9th houses, moon squares Neptune. The moon squaring Neptune can maybe be a little bit of a trifling aspect. Not to worry though, this is always a learning, like a step, learning curve, if you will, or in this case, 90-degree angle to learning something for your work overseas, or something to do with, like maybe the written communication of a biography of someone else from an overseas land through work. Then on June 28th, the full moon occurs in your 7th house of relationships and others at 6 degrees Capricorn, 28 minutes, before it then conjuncts Pluto in Capricorn, which brings on a very highly emotionally, possibly, but doesn't have to be, volatile, but also significantly transformative in the way things manifest, as Saturn is also flavoring your 7th house, giving your 7th house a well structured stability, as this transit is sort of the pivotal point between your ruling planet in its full moon state or phase to Pluto. So here is your last and final aspect of the month. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching. Please like, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and or feel free to subscribe to my channel of North Star Astrology, and thank you for looking up upon the North Star. And I'll see you in July.